more secrets of the Apocrypha. All right? Or what we're going to call this, the mysteries of the Apocrypha. The last thing, one of the main reasons they don't want you to go into the Apocrypha. There's information that was taken out that everyone on earth should know. That everyone should know. And I think the Most High is having it be revealed now, because a lot of people want to know, like, what happens once the spirit leaves. That information had been hid because they would rather you believe that you're reincarnated. They would rather have you believe that nothing happens, you just go to sleep if you bad and don't go to heaven. Or they'd rather have you don't believe anything at all. They'll make you think that your spirit stops when your heart stops, when that's not so. That's not so at all. So, what we're going to use, we're going to try to do this within the next few minutes, is not only the Apocrypha. What was that? Okay. What was it though? The first one. The first one. Okay. We're going to also use the Cambridge Annotated Apocrypha. Even though these books are one and the same, they're one and the same. But this particular one has some extra information that this one said would be hid. And we're going to read it. But before we read it, let's show you that some scriptures were hid from the populace purposely until the end time, similar to how Daniel's records were sealed until a certain time. Let's read it.
2 Ezra chapter 14, verse 1.
Go ahead.
And it came to pass on the third day, I sat under an oak, and behold, there came a voice out of a bush over against me, and said, Esdras, Esdras. And I said, Here am I, Lord. And I stood up upon my feet. Then said he unto me, In the bush I did manifestly reveal myself unto Moses.
Go ahead.
And talk with him when my people served in Egypt. And I sent him and led my people out of Egypt, and brought him up to the Mount of Sinai, where I held him by me a long season, and told him many wondrous things, and showed him the secrets of the times.
The secrets of the times were showed to Esdras. Read.
And the end, and commanded him, saying, These words shalt thou declare, and these shalt thou hide.
These words shalt thou declare, and these words shalt thou hide. So he gave Esdras some information to declare to the children of Israel, and he gave Esdras some information to hide from the population. Now, what we are about to give you was founded and was originally published through Oxford University. But Cambridge also paid a certain amount to have it published in their book. It was some of the scriptures that were hid by Esdras that actually express what happens after the spirit leaves the body. Now, if you know this information and you understand this beyond any shadow of a doubt, your whole perception of life changes. And any belief that leads you to think that you'll be okay, without certain actions on this earth, all that goes out the window. And it actually shows you in proper detail in which anyone can understand what happens. You notice how some people who claim they've been brought back to life, you wasn't brought back to life. You never was dead. Okay? There is a such thing as your heart stopping for a time and you still living. And see, the whole thing is they give you that through what they call physical education, to make you think if your physical anatomy parts that you're really dead. And that's not the case at all. Because the spirit is life. And it depends on if the Most High calls the spirit away altogether for judgment. So there is a such thing as the body staying still and none of the extremities working. And you can be clinically ruled as dead on this earth, but still you're not dead until the Most High calls your spirit. And that's the only explanation for people like the child that died a few years ago and woke up at the funeral, because they didn't do no thing. They didn't take anything out. They just laid the child there, and the child got up and woke up. They had it in the morgue for a few days, and then they had a lady that woke up and walked out of the morgue. So it's deeper than what you're saying. And also, this also gives serious clarification on when people say, well, when I was out, or when I died, or when they clinically was dead, according to this world, they seen this particular light. There's no, let me tell you, and this lets you know that the Catholic Church, the Cambridge University, Oxford University, they know this information is true because they put it in their books and hid it from the masses. But they will never teach you this in Cambridge University. They will never teach you this in Cambridge or Oxford. But they know because the records, they paid for the records to be published. Mm-hmm. But they'll never tell you. That means the everyday Bible-believing churchgoer will never run into this information, even though the Catholic Church knows and your university knows exactly what happens to the spirit. Satan don't want you to ever figure out what happens after death, because if you realize what happens, you will revolt from his world. You will bolt away from any ideology outside of the truth of the Most High. Because they haven't taught you what happens after death, there's no fear of God in this world. There's nothing to fear, because they'd rather you not know what's going to happen. Therefore, there's nothing to fear. But it tells you in the wisdom scriptures that the fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom. And it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. He's all good and all those gracious and merciful things that's taught in the churches. But he's the reverse of that for those that scorn his law. See, you have to know that side too. So let's go into it. Give me the Apocrypha. Before you go there, let's show them where it says the 70 scriptures would be missing.
This is 2 Ezra 14 and 42.
2 Ezra 14 and 42. Read it.
The highest gave understanding unto the 5 men, and they wrote the wonderful visions of the night that were told, which they knew not, and sat 40 days, and they wrote in the day, and at night they ate bread. As for me, I spake in the day, and I held not my tongue by night. In 40 days, they wrote 204 books.
They wrote 204 books down. These are scrolls. Read.
Verse 45. And it came to pass when the 40 days were fulfilled, that the highest spake, saying, that thou hast written, publish openly.
He says, publish openly. Go ahead.
That the worthy and unworthy may read it.
Go ahead.
But the 70 last. That thou mayest deliver them only to such as be wise among the people.
So 70 of the scrolls, or the understanding of these scriptures, which we know are precepts, were left for who?
For the wise among the people.
They was only left so that the wise could see these 70. Read.
For in them is the spring of understanding.
In them is the spring of understanding.
The fountain of wisdom and the stream of knowledge. And I did so.
And I did so. So Esdras held 70, which we found out are precepts that were hidden. All right. Now, come to find out that the 70 verses that were actually hidden is in 2nd Esdras, the 7th chapter, between the 35th and the 36th verse of your regular Apocrypha. There's 70 verses missing. And that leads us to the 70 that was added in your Cambridge annotated Apocrypha. We're going to read them. You got it? Put that up for me here. Let's get 2nd Ezra 7. And let's start from where it begins here. Right here. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's read it.
This is 2nd Ezra 7 and 35 in the Cambridge Apocrypha.
Go ahead.
Recompense shall follow, and the reward shall be manifested. Righteous deeds shall awake, and the unrighteous deeds shall not sleep. The pit of torment shall appear, and an opposite shall be the place of rest. And the furnace of hell shall be disclosed, and the opposite to it, the paradise of the light. Then the
paradise of the what?
The paradise of the light.
The paradise of the light. Remember that light that people see when they claim that they were dead for a moment?
Of the light.
Of the light. Read.
Then the Most High will say to the nations that have been raised from the dead, look now, and understand whom ye have denied, whom ye have not served, whose commandments you have despised. Look on this side and on that. And here are the delight and rest, and there are fire and torments. Thus he will speak to them on the day of judgment. A day that has no sun or moon or stars, or cloud or thunder or lightning, or wind or water or air, or darkness or evening or morning, or summer or spring or heat or winter, or frost or cold or hail or rain or dew, or noon or night, or dawn or shining or brightness or light, but only splendor of the glory of the Most High, by which all shall see which has been destined. It will last us for a week of years. This is my judgment and its prescribed order, and to you alone have I shown these things. I answered and said, O sovereign Lord, I said and I say now, blessed are those who are alive and keep your commandments. But what of those for whom I prayed? For who among the living is there that has not sinned? Or who is there among the mortals that has not transgressed your covenant? And now I see that the world to come will bring delight to few, but torments to many.
He says he see that the world to come will be a delight for few, but torments for many, because Ezra is looking at the world and saying, look, everyone is sinning. Like sinning have become lawful. So Ezra is looking at the world and say, well, who's going to make it into this new kingdom? Read.
For an evil heart has grown up in us, which has alienated us from the Most High.
He says, because there's an evil heart that have grown in us, in us all, that have alienated us or separated us from the Creator. Now, let me tell you, even the vilest sinner in this earth know that the Most High is real. Okay, but some people feel that they've done so wrong that what's the case now? They might as well just continue in their evil and just take whatever's coming, because they don't realize that regardless of what they've done, there's still an opportunity through Christ. That's the point, that the Most High can wash all that away and make you new again. That you don't have to worry about and deal with the guilt that's on your conscience based on your past sins. And see, Satan would like you to actually just focus on where you're wrong at. And that's why when you bring the Bible to people, some people say, well, I'm just not ready. They think they're not good enough. But that's not the point. You are good enough. We all as a people, we were deceived. We were shaped in iniquity from birth, and we was taught that sin is good. And then when you look at the video games, you look at the movies, when you look at all these things, the entertainment is sin. People just run around murdering and killing people, and you sitting there cheering, and you don't know how many of these people, if you look at it from a real life perspective, When they shoot a guy, you don't even deal with whether or not they had family, whether they had children. None of that even comes to you because we're taught to live in sin. We just look at the value of entertainment and no one even look at, well, okay, I know I'm cheering for the good guy, but this guy over here might have a family, a mother, a brother, a sister. Because we're taught to do what? We're taught to sensationalize sin. Then we'll look at movies where it seems like all the girls are having a good time and they're just running around just dealing with people and go with this guy and go with that guy, and it becomes comedy. And no one is looking at it and saying, well, you know what? I don't want to defile myself with all these people. You're looking at it like, yeah, I need to really embrace my feminism and test everything that's out there. And I'm putting these things out there because no matter, all of us have sinned. And Esdras was looking at it and saying, well, listen, I don't see how any of us are going to make it, any of our people are going to make it into this kingdom. Because we've been taught that sinning is all right. We're just experimenting. We're just feeling and finding our way. Right? Read.
Verse 48. For an evil heart has grown up in us.
An evil heart have grown up in us.
Which has alienated us from the Most High.
It has separated us from the Most High because our sins separate us from Him. Read.
And has brought us up, or has brought us into corruption and the ways of death, and has shown us the paths of perdition, and removed us far from life. And that not merely for a few, but for almost all who have been created. He answered me and said, listen to me, Ezra, and I will instruct you, and will admonish you once more. For this reason the Most High has made not one world, but two. And as much as you have said, that the righteous are not many but few, while the ungodly abound. Hear the explanation for this.
Now he's going to explain why the righteous are few, but yet the unrighteous seem like they have everything, that they actually get blessed more than those that are righteous. Or they're so abundant opposed to the unrighteous. It's showing you the judgment. It's going to give you the understanding here. Read.
Verse 52. If you have just a few precious stones.
If you have a few precious stones.
Will you add them to lead and clay?
Would you add them to lead and clay? So the Most High said, yeah, the world is evil, but I have a few that's just precious for me. Read.
I said, Lord, how could that be? And he said to me, not only that, but ask the earth.
Ask the earth.
And she will tell you. Defer to her, and she will declare it to you.
Look at the earth, and the earth will let you know that usually it's always just a few. Read.
Say to her, you produce gold and silver and bronze.
Why are you to produce all these metals when gold is more precious? When gold, what make gold precious? Because it's harder to find opposed to all the other metals. So even the Most High made the earth where there's precious materials that's more precious than others. That's the same concerning people. Read.
And also iron and lead and clay. But silver is more abundant than gold.
Silver is more abundant than gold.
And bronze than silver. And iron than bronze. And lead than iron. And clay than lead.
So even the earth tell you that the Most High preserves something precious for Himself. Read.
Judge therefore which things are precious and desirable, those that are abundant or those that are rare.
So what's more desirable? The few or the abundance of what you can get any place? And see how Satan make you believe in the reverse. That the abundance, if you see a lot of people doing something, then that's right. When broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. Or if I got an abundance of money or abundance of this, that I must be better. No. It's not so. Because a lot of people fill their life with things to make up for what they're lacking spiritually. You can get a poor person or a homeless person with nothing at all, and that's rich and vibrant in life. And they respect life more so than those that have everything. Read.
Verse 58. I said, O sovereign Lord, what is plentiful is of less worth,
Go ahead.
but what is more rare is more precious.
What is more rare is precious. Read.
He answered me and said, consider within yourself what you have thought. For the person who has what is hard to get rejoices more than the person who has what is plentiful.
See that? The person that's suffering and can hardly get anything, they appreciate more when they get it. They thank the Most High when they get it. But for a rich person that's abundant and have everything, they don't have to thank the Most High. They feel entitled. See? There's a difference, and I'm going to tell you this. Even the rich of this earth envy that in the poor. Because they don't see how we can still be happy with nothing. They envy that. Because no matter what they buy and spend, they can't get that happiness that just comes with spiritual solidarity with the Most High. Read.
Verse 60. So also will be the judgment that I have promised, for I will rejoice over the few who shall be saved.
So the Most High is not looking at the number. He says, yeah, a few is going to be saved. And that few that's saved, I will rejoice over them. Because through this wicked and evil life, they chose the Most High. See? So the Most High is going to rejoice. He's not looking at the number of people. And just like when we extend the truth to others and have them see the truth, they be like, man, where's y'all following? How big is y'all following? And like, listen, this is not our following. That's number one. That's why it's the gathering of Christ's church. It's whoever follow the Most High is being gathered to the Most High. That's number one. Number two, you're not going to see the truth in some big cathedral like Joel Osteen. You will never see the truth there. You will never see the truth with T.D. Jakes and all these people. Because broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. You'll never see the truth there. So just because our people think that the glory of God comes in abundance with a lot of people raising their hand glorifying God, you are deceived. That's how Satan is worshipped. That's how Satan is worshipped. Because every place where the Most High in Christ was taught, even during the times after the disciples, they were hunted by the Romans to be destroyed. That's why the disciples had to teach house to house, and they couldn't make themselves public like the churches, like the cathedrals, like the temples. They couldn't do it because what they had was more precious. Read on.
Because it is they who have made my glory to prevail now, and through them my name has now been honored.
Through them my name have been honored. So only a few people in this earth is really honoring the true name of the Most High. So he says that few that's doing that, I rejoice over them. Read.
Verse 61. I will not grieve over the great number of those who perish.
The Most High said that he will not grieve over the great number that perish. And that kills that concept that God loves all people, regardless of what they do, that God loves the sinner but hate the sin. That's a bogus lie. The Most High will not grieve over one of those souls. Not one. And if you understood this, that will change your whole perception of whom you call God. He will not cry one tear over purpose sinners. These are people who knew that they were sinning, knew that they were living in sin, and refused to not only repent, they glorified and perpetuated their behavior on his creation. And I like to put this out there all the time. You have people struggling with other sins, but I want to actually magnify or talk about, real quick, homosexuality. Now, of course, people that call themselves homosexuals are struggling with a known sin, no matter how they got that in them. Either they were deprived, or they were a lot molested as a child. In these social programs, they was taken away, and people did things to them that gave them alternative desires when they were young. I would like to point that out. So a lot of them can point to where the Spirit entered them. They wasn't born like that. They can point to a time in which someone perpetuated something against them. So they knew that that was wrong. And they're struggling with the sin. Some people get over that and realize and forgive the people that have done it to them and go on to live a holy life as a man or a woman. Or some people get so mad at what happened and love the feeling of that. Not only do they do it to themselves, now they seek out others to perpetuate their sin on and turn these people like them. That's an entirely different sin. It's one thing to sin and struggle with it until the Most High moves you from the sin. It's another to purposely execute your sin and seek out others to be a part of it. See that? That's a big difference. Because now you know something happened to you that was incorrect. And you're willing and you're ready now to lay that same sin on others. Or perpetuate it in society and say that it's a civil right. Or I was born this way. Or whatever way Satan is trying to spin this particular activity that's actually destroying the morality of the earth and the cohesiveness of what the Most High planned from the beginning. But I'm not going to go into that. Let's just stick here. I'm just giving you an example. Read.
For it is they who are now like a mist, and are similar to a flame and smoke. They are set on fire and burn hotly, and are extinguished. Verse 62. I replied and said, O earth, what have you brought forth, if the mind is made out of the dust like the other things created? For it would have been better if the dust itself had not been born, so that the mind might not have been made from it. But now the mind grows with us, and therefore we are tormented because we perish, and we know it. Let the human race lament, but let the wild animals of the field be glad. Let all who have been born lament, but let the cattle and the flocks rejoice.
And we know that human race was placed there because in the Greek it's man. Read on.
But let the cattle and the flocks rejoice. It is much better with them than with us. For they do not look for judgment, and they do not know of any torment or salvation promised to them after death. What does it profit us that we shall be preserved alive, but cruelly tormented? For all who have been born are entangled in iniquities, and are full of sins, and burdened with transgressions. And if after death we were not to come into judgment, perhaps it would have been better for us. He answered me and said, when the Most High made the world, and Adam, and all who have come from him, he first prepared the judgment, and the things that pertain to judgment. But now understand from your own words.
So before the Most High made Adam, he already prepared the judgment. That means the whole script was written. And us having free will, we write ourselves into what part we'll play. Okay? When the Most High made Adam, he took a part of himself, or an essence of himself, which is eternal before time. So he had to make a place to hold souls, knowing that, what? Even after the spirit leaves the body, it must have a place, because it's eternal. The Most High always was, and he is bound by that. That means the essence he took out of himself cannot be destroyed. So he had to make a place for it. You can't go back to where the Most High is. So he made the place to hold souls before man was created. Read.
Verse 71. But now understand from your own words.
But now understand, Esdras, from your own words.
For you have said that the mind grows with us. For this reason, therefore, those who live on earth shall be tormented, because though they had understanding, they committed iniquity.
They continued to do what was wrong. The same way you can even go to the Christian church and be like, well, what about this law and that law according to the Bible? They'd be like, you don't have to follow that. The law's done away with. Oh, we don't got to follow that, right? Well, okay. Well, guess what? That so-called homosexual that's playing in your band, that's singing in your choir, they heard that too. So when they start acting out and doing what they want to do in your church, you can't tell them the law is done away with and what they're doing is sin when you're telling all your parishioners and people that are following in your church that God's law has been done away with and they're covered through Christ's grace. So move over. You got some guys and some girls that want to just perpetuate their love on your congregation and end up running your whole church soon. The law done away with, right? So be careful putting that out there and not make a distinction of what you're really saying. Now we know the law of sacrifice is done away with, but the Most High laws stand. Okay? Now that means the death part is done away with. When Leviticus 20 and 13, I use that as an example where it says, if man lie with mankind as he lied with a woman, he shall surely be put to death. Of course you can't put nobody to death. Christ went to the cross. But the law of that behavior is sinful. And they have an opportunity to repent from that and operate as the Most High made them originally, as a man or a woman. See that? So that's how they should be showing this in the church. They say, listen, there's a law that says you should be put to death, but Christ went to the cross. But not so you haven't been baptized in the church so you can continue to sin. Okay? Really, your actions are death according to the law. So the Most High gave you grace. So use that grace as an opportunity to receive the kingdom of heaven before the judgment. That's how it should be presented. Because you're living under grace here. Not so that you can perpetuate your activity on the rest of the congregation. See? Read.
And though they had received the commandments, they did not keep them.
And though they have received the commandments, they did not keep them. So that's the importance of understanding the commandments of God. Those that are breaking the commandments purposely and know to do better is a judgment. So you can't say in church that, well, the law is done away with. The law of sin and death is covered through the blood of Christ. That's a law that began with the sin of Adam. And they'll make you believe that law of sin and death is the law of Moses with their misunderstanding of Paul's writings. Read.
And though they obtained the law, they dealt unfaithfully with that which they received. What then will they have to say in the judgment? Or how will they answer in the last times? How long will the Most High, or how long the Most High has been patient with those who inhabit the world, and not for their sake, but because of the times that he has foreordained? Verse 75. I answered and said, I have found favor in your sight, O Lord. Show this also to your servant, whether after death, as soon as every one of us yields up the soul, we shall be kept and rest until those times come when ye will renew the creation.
So he asks the Most High, show him what happens when the spirit goes up out of our body. He needs to know what happens at that moment until the creation is renewed. He asks the Most High if he found favor in his eyes to teach this to him. And this information was part of the 70 scriptures hid that they won't let you get in church. This is important information. Read.
Or whether we shall be tormented at once.
Or will we be tormented at once? Will it happen after the final judgment? Or does it happen immediately after our spirit leaves the body, is what Esdras is asking here. Read.
76. He answered me and said, I will show you that also, but do not include yourself with those who have shown scorn, or number yourself among those who are tormented. For you have a treasure of works stored up with the Most High, but it will not be shown to you until the last time.
See that? He says, I'm going to show you, but he didn't want to scare Esdras, so he said, listen, don't include yourself with the people that will be destroyed, because you have enough works that you have stored up for me, but I'm not going to show you everything I'm going to give you until it's time. See that? So Esdras did work for the Most High and stored those works up to the point where the Most High showed favor with him and said, listen, you're going to get the blessings of the few. Read.
78. Now concerning death.
Now concerning death.
The teaching is, when the decisive decree has gone out from the Most High.
So a decree goes out from the Most High first. So man do not dictate when a person lives or dies. The same way you can see someone get shot 9 times and still live. Why? Because the Most High didn't send the decree. Read.
When the decisive decree has gone out from the Most High that a person shall die.
Go ahead.
As the spirit leaves the body to return again to him who gave it. First of all, it adores the glory of the Most High.
That's that light. The first thing the spirit sees is that power and glory of the Most High, which everyone claimed they seen through a state of what they call physical death. And no one else could explain it of why. Some people who didn't believe in the Most High at all went through one of those experiences and woke up a believer. Because you cannot tell them that what they seen wasn't real. And that there's something real out there outside of our dimension or our terrestrial existence. Why? Because it's your spirit that experiences life. The body is just a shell. To prove that, once a spirit leaves the body, I don't care what you do to it. You can hack it, you can saw it, you can shoot it. There's no reaction. Why? It was the spirit attached with the body through the nerves that was reacting to the pain. To prove to you that it's not the body that feels pain. It's the spirit. Because when the spirit is gone, the body, there's no reaction at all. So some people try to say, well, how can you feel something after death? The body don't feel anything after death, does it? So what was feeling? The spirit. Right? Also, that's also the answer to when we were reading in the academy. Where it talks about that when we say that the Most High charged the center of the earth, it tell you the place of judgment was created before man. See? Right. So that fire in the earth was created at that time. See that? Yes, so we're going to deal with that tomorrow at the academy. But go ahead.
Verse 79.
Go ahead.
If it is one of those who have shown scorn and have not kept the way of the Most High, who have despised his law and hated those who feared the Most High.
That means you have someone that's purposely was against the Most High and hated those who brought them the truth of the Most High.
Such spirits shall not enter into habitations.
They will not enter into habitations,
but shall immediately wander about in torments.
They shall immediately wander about in torments. Similar to, and I think they showed this long time ago in this movie, Ghost. Where these things came and dragged the guys that were wrong directly into torments. Read.
Such spirits shall not enter into habitations, but shall immediately wander about in torments, always grieving and sad in 7 ways.
And the Most High will give them 7 ways that they will always think about during their whole time there until the final judgment. What is the 7 ways?
The first way, because they have scorned the law of the Most High. The second way,
they're going to always think of the laws they broke, knowing that they were wrong. Second way,
because they cannot now make a good repentance so that they may live.
That means if they had a chance, knowing what they knew then, they would be the most righteous person on earth if they were let back. That they can't change now everything they could have changed while they were living. They will always think about that during that time. Read.
The third way, they shall see the reward laid up for those who have trusted the covenants of the Most High.
Like it was shown in the book of Luke, the 16th chapter, when the rich man who had everything and deprived the poor was able to look over that gulf fixed and see Lazarus being protected in profound quiet by angels. They can actually see the reward in that region. And some people can ask, well, why, how can they do this? You're thinking from a physical standpoint and not realizing that there's a certain level of seeing that's beyond this physical realm. That once you're out of this body, you're not just dealing with the physical realm, but the spiritual realm too. You understand? So down there, they'll be able to see in the spirit what's going on with those who did right. Read.
The fourth way, they shall consider the torment laid up for themselves in the last days.
That means the whole time, the only thing they can look forward to is the judgment at the end of the 1,000 years when Satan and his angels are thrown in the fire. That's the only thing they could be looking forward to, and they deal with this every moment while they're there. Read.
The fifth way.
Here's the fifth way.
They shall see how the habitations of the others are guarded by angels in profound quiet.
Go ahead.
The sixth way. They shall see how some of them will cross over into torments. The seventh way.
So they also, not only are they dealing with torments, they're seeing others come to where they are. Read.
The seventh way, which is worse than all the ways that have been mentioned, because they shall utterly waste away in confusion and be consumed with shame.
They shall be consumed with shame. We're in the annotated Apocrypha, so you can't follow us unless you have the annotated, which were the extra 70 that were hid by Esdras the prophet. But Cambridge have it and Oxford have it, and they will not release this to the population. Only those in the know gets this information. What's the last way?
The seventh way, which is worse than all the ways that have been mentioned.
Here's what they will think about the whole time while there.
Because they shall utterly waste away in confusion and be consumed with shame, and shall wither with fear at seeing the glory of the Most High, in whose presence they sinned while they were alive.
They're not going to believe after they see the power of the Most High that they have denied him while living. They're going to be totally confused seeing all that power, thinking that he wasn't real while they were living. So atheists, let me tell you, atheists, someone played a serious game on them. Because to them, this thing is a cat and mouse game between them and so-called Christians. They need to make a Christian not believe. That's the whole thing. To show people how stupid it is believing on something they can't see. When it's deeper than that. Let me tell you, every creation, every product of creation will see the Creator, will adorn his power. Whether you're on the right or wrong side of judgment, there's not going to be any such thing as an atheist thought when you see the power of the Most High. You're not going to have to question whether or not he's real or asking, well, you show me him to see if he's real. You're going to sit there in total confusion of thinking like, with all the knowledge I had to debate Christians, how didn't I know about this? How could I have not found out about this powerful, beyond being? So the Most High is not on a trip to have everyone look to believe on him. He's not on some trip like, can y'all just come love me? You got the wrong, I think the Christian church have thrown out this perception. The Most High have the angels minister you and try to turn you right for your own sake. Okay? It's the ministering angels that try to get you and steer you right. Because the Most High is not going to grieve over anyone who have purposely scorned him or rejected him or didn't believe on him. He's not, let me tell you, he's not going to think, he's going to look at you like a mist. He even told Esdras, I'm not going to grieve the multitude of people that sin against me on purpose. I will rejoice over that few. So I don't know what they're teaching out there, but the Most High don't love you just because you exist. Let's finish reading.
Verse 88. Now this is the order of those who have kept the ways of the Most High.
Here's the order for those that have seen the law, statutes, and commandments and kept the ways in spite of what's been done to them. They kept themselves holy and pure. They want to see the Most High. They want to see the end of righteousness. So there's a reward. As a matter of fact, what we read is not even the pinnacle of what's to come. It's not even scratching the surface. Let's read it.
Now this is the order of those who have kept the ways of the Most High.
Here's the order for those who have kept the ways of the Most High.
When they shall be separated from their mortal body, during the time they have lived in it, they laboriously serve the Most High.
They laboriously serve the Most High. That means they woke up and they looked to do things to serve the Most High. They prayed to the Most High. They looked to work for the Most High. They looked to keep his commandments. Read.
And withstood danger every hour, so that they might keep the law of the lawgiver perfectly.
And they knew that even keeping the law, it would be dangerous. Like now, you try to teach the truth and try to tell people what's right and try to do, you putting your life on the line for that. Read.
Therefore, this is the teaching concerning them.
Here's the teaching concerning those.
First of all, they shall see with great joy the glory of him who receives them, for they shall have rest in 7 orders.
They shall have rest in 7 orders.
The first order, because they have striven with great effort to overcome the evil thought that was formed with them.
The first thing is they were able to conquer that sin that was in them that began with their father Adam. They was able to struggle and defeat that thing that have been looking to drag them into torments. Read.
So that it might not lead them astray from life into death.
Go ahead.
The second order.
The second order, this is what the righteous are feeling during this whole time of jubilation after making it. Read.
Because they see the perplexity in which the souls of the ungodly wander and the punishment that awaits them.
They can see what's going on with those who didn't follow the Most High. Just like Lazarus can see that rich man who was rich on earth, but were dealing with torments and Hades. And everyone know that in Luke it was speaking of a parable, but Christ was actually speaking of an actual event. Mm-hmm. But those who, who understand knows this, because Christ understood the secrets that was given up to Esdras. That the rich man had everything until he was in Hades and seen Lazarus protected, doing well, and it even tell you in the Apocalypse of Paul that through their torment there's water right there beyond their fingertips, but they can't touch. For those that broke fasts on purpose, there's grapes and all that within their fingertips that they'll never touch. Women who beautified their eyelids to try to entice man into sin, that they're hung by their eyelids as a certain torment. The women who have used their eyelids to entice men into sin, and they knew what they were doing. that they'll be hung by their eyelids. They tell you that in the Apocalypse of Paul. And it's not just the fire. Just like the four regions of earth have different weather, the torments is different weather also. There's tortures where some people are up to their neck in total ice. On and on and on and on. And while they're going through all these different torments on the other side, they're thinking of these 7 things that the Most High will put in their mind to think during the whole time. They'll think of all the times the Most High have given them the law and tried to show them certain things, and they have just said, well, I don't want to deal with it. Who cares? And when you thought that your little space of a life was all there was, and then you wake up to realize that the spirit that was in that mortal body is eternal. Let's finish reading.
Verse 94. The third order.
The third order.
They see the witness that he who formed them bears concerning them, and throughout their life they kept the law with which they were entrusted.
Go ahead.
The fourth order. They understand the rest that they now enjoy.
They understand the rest they now enjoy.
Being gathered into their chambers and guarded by angels in profound quiet.
They're gathered by the angels in profound quiet.
And the glory waiting for them in the last days.
And they see the glory that's awaiting them in the last days. The new earth. The new heaven and earth. Read.
The fifth order.
The fifth order.
They rejoice that they have now escaped what is corruptible, and shall inherit what is to come.
So we know that those that are on the other side are those that will be changed. Read.
And besides, they see the straits and toil from which they have been delivered, and the spacious liberty they are to receive and enjoy immortality.
Immortality. So this gives you more understanding of who will be changed. So if you're in the bosom of Abraham, the change will come. If you're not in torments. Read.
The sixth order, when it is shown them how their face is to shine like the sun, how they are to be made like the light of the stars, being incorruptible from then on. The seventh order, which is greater than all that have been mentioned.
Here's the seventh order that's greater than all that those that have shown righteousness will see.
Because they shall rejoice with boldness and be confident without confusion, and shall be glad without fear. For they press forward to see the face of him whom they serve in life, and from whom they are to receive their reward when glorified.
They will behold the face of the Most High and be thankful that they were on the right side of this power. That's the 70 scriptures out of the annotated Apocrypha. Verses. Give them the verses.
It starts at verse 35, and we just finished off at verse 99.
35 through 99. There is a little bit more.
There's more of it.
But that's just, that's in between. So those are the 70 which were verses that were hidden. That the elite have, the Cambridge University have, the Oxford University have. They know what happens after death. But they'll tell you and make you believe that God don't exist. They'll make you believe that Christ don't exist. You don't have to accept Christ. Why? Because these that are over this earth right now, they're Luciferians, and they have the same promise by their God that we have by ours. They have a promise under their Luciferian doctrine, and I repeat this all the time, that their God, Lucifer, will make it back to the heavenly realm and take down the Creator and give them immortality. This is what they believe in their Bible. And if you think that's far-fetched, come on now. Why do you think NASA is out there? They believe they're going to do this. They are helping him get there. But he will be destroyed and brought down to hell in the battle of Armageddon. So with that, I hope some profound understanding came forth concerning the mysteries of the Apocrypha. It's a wealth of understanding and wisdom, and don't let anyone tell you it don't belong. With that, I'm going to say shalom on that.